Hi, this is John Dreyer for Fender University, and I'm here with Chris Fleming from Fender R&D. In this video, we'll take a look at the steps of installing a bass bridge on a new Fender P or a jazz bass body. Now, Chris, before we get started, what are the tools that we'll need for this?
Well, this is a simple installation, John. So all we need is a Phillips head screwdriver, wire cutters, a little wax, possibly a wire stripper, and some screws here.
Okay.
The first thing to remember about putting a bass on any instrument, any Fender instrument anyway, is that you need to ground the bridge to the rest of the electronics, otherwise you'll get a hum. So the first thing I would do, I've already prepared this. You take the end of the insulation off and put it through the hole that's already here in the body, bring it through to the control cavity. Now what you're going to want to do is leave the wire on the body like this so that when you put the bridge on, it will make contact. That way when the strings go through the bridge, they'll be contacted to the ground and the rest of the electronics.
Okay, now you don't have to fasten that down or lock it down in any way, that just it's going to be locked down when you install the bridge.
Here's a little trick that I've learned over the years. You really need to kind of start these screw holes so you can see where they are, and also that you don't inadvertently crack the paint when you start putting the screws in. So what I do is I take the Phillips head and I just kind of use it to open up the hole where the screw's going to go. See?
Yeah, you want to make sure we're not doing that to the holes for the strings.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah, the larger holes are where the strings go through the body on this, and the smaller holes are where the screws go to hold the bridge on. So I just do that, and it countersinks the paint a little so that you won't have any problem getting the screw into it. Okay? Now I'm going to put the bridge on here. It's going to sit a little proud because of the wire that's in here, but don't worry about that. Then all I need to do is put a little bit of wax on the screw, and normally I'll start all the screws before I start putting the bridge in. So
and you definitely want to do this by hand, not using a drill.
Yeah, I wouldn't use a drill. It could very easily go wrong. Okay. So I'll get these started first. This way you can also kind of align the bridge as you're tightening it down. Sometimes the bridge will become uneven if you tighten the screws unevenly, and I'll show you as we go along. So one more, and we have the 3 mounting screws in. Now generally what I'll do is take the center screw all the way down, because that'll help center the whole bridge. The screw and the bridge are countersunk so that they should fit together really well, and they'll be nice and snug, and the screw will be relatively flush to the top of the bridge base. Okay. Now I'll do this next one. So you'll see after I get the bridge all tightened down that this wire is grounded well against the bridge base. Okay?
And it looks like the base is fairly flat against the body.
Yeah, so it is. In fact, I'm going to tighten it a little more. It depends on the wire. This particular wire is a pretty heavy gauge, and it'll take a little more effort to get it to kind of squish in between the bridge and the paint. So we've got that. So the next thing that we would do is ground this wire to one of the pots. I like to leave a pretty long lead so that if you have to do something to change the electronics, you can pull it out and away from the body.
Now, does it matter which pot you solder that to, or is it
not really?
Basically, either one will be grounded.
Yeah, I generally solder it to the pot closest to the output. In some of the old instruments I've seen, they actually grounded it to the output, which would be okay too. But any of the pots, it's just easier to do it right here. So I just strip the end of this, solder it on, and you're good to go.
Okay.
Okay, so we're going to do a different type of a bridge on this jazz bass. This is called a high mass bridge. It's got more mass at the back of the bridge, gives a bit more sustain, and it's kind of more like a modern style bridge.
Sure.
Okay, but the overall process is the same. I'm going to take my screwdriver and use this to countersink the screw holes here. That'll help keep the paint from chipping as we're putting the screws in. Okay, then I prepared another ground wire that's going to go through here. You just want to spread out the wire where the bridge is going to touch it, and that'll allow this to have contact for the ground. Again, I'm going to use a little bit of wax to get these screws started. I'll put all 3 in first, so I get everything aligned well. Okay, and then last one in the center. And then as I did on the P bass, I'm going to tighten the center screw first. That'll get it in a good spot to make sure it's aligned with the other screw holes. It's a little bit of work, but it's better to do it by hand. And there you have it. So I made this a little shorter than it should be. You probably want it to be another 3 inches. And then again, this would have a control plate, and you would put this to the pot that's closest to the output jack. And that's it.
All right, great. Thanks, Chris.
Sure.
And for more information, please visit fender.com/university.